seek to reach all the corners of the earth.
Assalamu alaikum, I'm Jahangir and this is Jinnah. We're back this week with a new episode of Roundup.
Before we look at today's reports, let's get started with the headlines.
Civil rights activist Claudette Colvin, who in 1955 refused to give up her seat on a bus for a white person, has had her record expunged. Miss Colvin was convicted of assaulting a police officer while being arrested in Alabama and put on probation. Super Typhoon Ray is battering the southern Philippines, forcing thousands of people to take shelter amid warnings of widespread flooding and destruction. The storm made landfall in Siargao, a famous tourist island, packing winds of around 110 miles per hour. France is tightening COVID restrictions for travellers arriving from the UK, as the government in Paris tries to slow down the spread of the Omicron variant. As of Saturday, UK travellers will have to provide French authorities with compelling reasons before entering the country. After a season of intense racing, Max Verstappen beat Lewis Hamilton to the F1 world title in Abu Dhabi. Verstappen's victory was decided after he took the lead ahead of Hamilton on a controversial final lap of the final race, sealing his first F1 World Championship. A NASA spacecraft has touched the Sun by flying through the unexplored solar atmosphere known as the corona. Scientists said, although the Parker Solar Probe initially flew through the corona in April, it took a few months to retrieve the data and several more to confirm. Earlier this week, a wandering camel that broke free from the nativity display led police on a chase through the city in Kansas. The race to catch the camel began on a golf course more than a mile away from the display at the National Agricultural Center and Hall of Fame in Bonner Springs.
Jinnah, I've got a fun fact for you.
Here we go, what is it?
Did you know that up to 23 million truckloads of food go straight into the waste bin every single year?
Really? That's shocking. I think we need to do something about that.
There's more that we can do to reduce the quantity of food that we waste in our homes. Let's go to Yasmin, who's going to teach us all about the causes behind the food waste and how we can avoid it.
Do you have any idea how much food is wasted in a year? Take a guess. It is actually 23 million truckloads of food. That's right, shocking, isn't it? According to the UN Environment Programme's Food Waste Index, more than 900 million tons of food is thrown away every year. That is 900 million tons of food in shops, households and restaurants goes directly into the bin, and from that 60% of the food wastage is unfortunately from the homes. We are here at Mid-Surrey Community Fridges Warehouse just outside of London in the UK to learn more about food wastage.
We save food from the bin, so good food that would otherwise be wasted, we divert it, and we, since lockdown, have been giving it to people that really need it. Before the pandemic, we were shifting about 2 tons of food, and we didn't have the warehouse a week. Then the pandemic happened and all the restaurants closed, so then that went up to 10 tons, which was almost overwhelming. And now, coming up for 2 years later, we're still shifting about 7 tons of food a week, which is the same as an African elephant weight. So all this food would have been in landfill had we not taken it, which is crazy. In the pandemic, we were handing out food parcels, about 1,000 a week was the top that we did. And each of those bags, we reckoned, fed 2.5 people. It's about 2,000 people a week, I think, we're helping. So we're giving this out gradually to people to support them, and we make sure that these things go out to the people that really need it, because sadly there's a lot of people that do need it.
Food wastage was an issue previously considered to be a problem almost exclusive to richer countries, with consumers simply buying more than they could eat, but recent research found substantial food waste everywhere. Did you know that food is wasted in many ways? throwing away fruits and vegetables that don't look perfect, discarding food that are close to best before date. Large quantities of wholesome edible food are often unused or left over and discarded from household kitchens and eating establishments.
The figures show that 40% of food waste in the UK, it's about 10 million tonnes a year, huge amount, is domestic waste, so from our kitchens. So the biggest thing that anyone can do is eat all the food that they buy, that they bring into their house. That's the biggest thing.
Less food loss and waste would lead to more efficient land use and better water resource management. It will also have a positive impact on climate change and livelihoods. There are more than 820 million people who go hungry every day around the world. While food is a basic need, it is not a guarantee. We must all do our part to reduce food wastage. By taking out food that would be thrown away, I am part of the solution.
Jazakallah Yasmin for enlightening us on such an important topic. We hope you've all learned something valuable from this report.
Now we'll be hearing from Ghani as he gives us a summary recap into our beloved Hazur. May Allah please help us Friday's sermon from this week.
Assalamu alaikum, my dear brothers and sisters. Last Friday, Hazur continued to speak about Hazrat Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu, the first Khalifa of Islam. Did you know during the early days of Islam, Hazrat Abu Bakr was the one who paid for the freedom of Hazrat Bilal radhiyallahu anhu, the first person to give the azan, also known as the call to prayer. During this week's Friday sermon, our beloved Hazur Ayyad al-Dala bin Nasr al-Aziz said that he had been mentioning how Hazrat Abu Bakr freed slaves. His Holiness said that once Hazrat Abu Bakr anhu passed by a slave of Banu Mumal. She would be beaten and was constantly told to renounce Islam. Hazrat Abu Bakr anhu paid for her freedom. In another narration, it is stated that Hazrat Abu Bakr's father said to him that instead of freeing the weak, he should free the powerful so that they may protect him. Hazrat Abu Bakr replied by saying that he only wished to achieve the pleasure of Allah. Dear brothers and sisters, from this narration we can learn how important it is that whenever we do something, we should try our best to make it so it is for the pleasure of Allah and not only for our benefit. During the recent Friday sermon, Hazur Ayyad al-Dala bin Nasr al-Aziz said that there was a time when Hazrat Abu Bakr intended to migrate to Abyssinia. Once Islam had become apparent, the Meccans caused the Muslims great harm in order to force them to leave Islam. The Holy Prophet ﷺ advised some of the early Muslims to migrate to Abyssinia. Thus, 11 men and 4 women migrated. Afterwards, Hazrat Abu Bakr anhu was also made to face great hardships, and so he set off for Abyssinia too. Along the way, he met someone who said that he would render protection for Hazrat Abu Bakr, and they both returned to Mecca. Upon learning of this, the Meccans said that Hazrat Abu Bakr anhu should pray in his own home, so that others would not be influenced by him. Therefore, Hazrat Abu Bakr would only pray in his home. Later, he made a small mosque in his courtyard where he would pray and recite the Holy Quran. Seeing this and hearing him recite the Holy Quran aloud had a profound effect on those around him. The Meccans again said to the person who vowed to protect Hazrat Abu Bakr anhu that his actions were influencing others and he should tell Hazrat Abu Bakr to stop. As a result, Hazrat Abu Bakr said that he no longer needed protection, as Allah Himself was enough as his protector. Towards the end of the sermon, beloved Hazur requested prayers for the entire world and that they may be able to recognize and accept the promised Messiah al-Islam. Hazur especially said we should pray for families in Afghanistan and Pakistan who are facing a lot of hardship. This was just a very brief summary of last week's Friday sermon, which was filled with many interesting stories and incidents. We hope you are able to hear the full Friday sermon, which can be found on mta.tv. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum.
Jazakallah Ghani, and as always, we encourage you to watch the whole Friday sermon, which is available online.
Next, we travel across the globe and join Yasser as he reports on a beautiful Galah bird native to Australia.
Australia is a country with an abundant range of birds, with over 800 species. Today, we'll be looking at the Galah, a parrot native to Australia. I'm here with Darcy, who's an expert on galahs. Hi Darcy, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Could you please explain to us what is a galah?
Yes, so a galah is a type of cockatoo, and all cockatoos are a type of parrot. So what makes a parrot is their keratin beak, so it's the same material as our fingernails, that nice hard beak, and also on each foot they have 2 toes that face forward and 2 toes that face backwards. And cockatoos all have that movable crest on top of their head.
Is there only one species of galahs?
Yes, there is only one species of galah. Depending on the region in Australia that you find them, there can be different subspecies as well.
So where in Australia can these birds be found?
So galahs are an Australian species and they're found in pretty much all over Australia, except for the driest regions, and they're also not found in Cape York Peninsula.
How old can galahs get?
So in the wild, galahs will generally live up to around 40 years of age is a good lifespan. And in captivity, they can live a little bit longer if they're looked after well, so up to around 50 years of age, sometimes longer.
Whoa! Can you see there? To round up, no pun intended, our series on birds has finally come to an end. I would like to thank the people here at Bird World for helping me and my friends around the globe learn more about the species they have here today. To recall today's expedition, we learned that there are many species of parrot, including macaws, galahs, and cockatoos. An astonishing fact about galahs is that they can travel and roost in flocks of upwards of 1,000 birds. It's an impressive sight, especially at dusk and at dawn. If you have any questions, feel free to send them down under. Jazakallah, and have a good one.
And that brings us to the end of our 3-part bird series. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll be back with similar reports in the future.
In the following report, we travel to our next destination where Subeka investigates fast fashion and its impact on our planet.
Nowadays, people are buying more clothes than ever before. Affordable shops are easily accessible to us now, and so are countless clothing websites. If we need a new pair of shoes, or even if we don't, popping to a shop, browsing a website, or scrolling through Instagram to see the latest trends has become a common temptation. It's quick, it's easy, and it's cheap. But have we ever stopped to wonder why this is? Why do we have the option to buy new clothes as and when we want? Why are these clothes so affordable? What impact is fast fashion having on the planet? Let's dig a little deeper and get some answers. Did you know that 100 billion items of clothing get produced every year? That's more than the number of cars in the world. There are millions of factories across the world dedicated to making these garments. Cheap materials and a huge workforce allow for massive amounts of these clothes to be produced. These factories are in developing places such as Bangladesh, India, Cambodia, Pakistan, and China. There are some pros and cons to think about when it comes to these factories. They provide millions of jobs for people, allow businesses to stay running, and ultimately, people like you and me have the option to buy affordable clothes. However, the working conditions can be quite bad for the employees, who are often children. They are extremely underpaid and cannot get to school. It is important to think about these facts when we go out to buy new clothes. While fast fashion has a positive effect on the world economy, it's having a detrimental impact on the environment. It's responsible for 8% of carbon emissions, and the water, gas and energy used in the manufacturing is having a serious impact on the environment. One of the major issues that fast fashion causes is the rising of landfills. These are gigantic mountains of rubbish, which are ruining our planet. Polyester is the most popular material for our clothes, and it takes 200 years to decompose. There are lots of things we can do to help stop the negative impact of fast fashion on the planet. Firstly, we can make sure we recycle our unwanted clothes.
To make informed decisions about spending money, we should research brands online to make sure their clothes are fairly produced. We can also try to make our clothes last longer so that we have less need to buy more. If our clothes become ripped or button pops off, we can learn how to repair our clothes to make them wearable for longer. Our parents and grandparents could help us with this. Next time, before buying clothes, let's think. Do you really need them? Were these clothes made fairly? Are we being wasteful? Hopefully, with all these things in mind, we can prevent wastage and hopefully save the planet. Yeah, I think this will do.
Jazakallah Subeka, as you've seen, the cons of fast fashion significantly outweigh its pros. And one of the ways that we can change that is by supporting brands that fairly produce their clothes.
Now it's time for one of my favorite segments of the show, as we get to hear what you guys have to say about the topics we covered today.
To save food waste, put as much in your plate as you can eat.
One of the simplest ways to avoid food waste on the go is to bring food from home. This can also help to save some money.
Instead of wasting food, we can have more money and we can feed it to the poor people. Allah likes the one who feeds it to the poor people. Food is fuel for the body. By wasting it, you are wasting life. Don't waste food. Jazakallah.
As part of a meal plan, to reduce waste, we can choose 1 or 2 days each week to eat any leftovers we kept in the fridge.
We should be grateful for what Allah Ta'ala has given us and that there are people out there who don't have food. So instead of wasting food, save it and think about those people who don't have food at all. Jazakallah.
Food is a great blessing of Allah. Allah says in the Holy Quran, "Kulu washrabu wa la tusrifu." Eat and drink, but exceed not the bounds. We can start by following the saying of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That means, take out only that much food on your plate which is needed and always clear your plate up.
If you wish to get involved, keep an eye out on our social media and email us your views at roundup@mta.tv.
For this week's Around the World, our Canadian viewers Zakaria and Layla travelled to the city of Sunshine, where they had the opportunity to tour one of the largest mosques in Canada. Let's take a look.
Assalamu alaikum everybody. My name is Zakaria Seti.
And I am Layla Sati.
And we are in one of the coldest places on earth. We're not in the North Pole, but it's very close to the North Pole. And we are in Saskatoon, Canada! We have traveled halfway across the world to visit our cousin Asma. Assalamualaikum Asma.
Walaikum assalam.
Can you tell us about Saskatoon?
Of course.
Saskatoon is the largest city in the Canadian province of Saskatchewan, which is also known as the breadbasket of Canada because a large portion of Canada's grain grows here. The national animal of Saskatchewan is the white-tailed deer, and the weather can sometimes go as low as -40 degrees Celsius.
The slogan for Saskatoon is Saskatoon shines because we have sunshine all year round.
Asma, I heard you had a masjid in Saskatoon. Where is it?
That's a masjid, Better Rahmat. Can we go inside? Of course we can. Let's keep walking.
This is Better Rahmat. It is one of the largest mosques in Canada, situated on Ahmadiyya Crescent. Built in 2016, Better Rahmat covers an area of 25,000 square feet. It has prayer halls for men and women, offices, a library, and a sports hall. Are there any activities we can do in winter?
There are lots of activities we can do.
You can go sledding, ice skating, play ice hockey, or simply have a snow fight. It's so nice to have a warm drink after all those winter activities. The Zakla Asma for showing us around Saskatoon.
Well, we hope you enjoyed touring Saskatoon with us. Although everyone here says the best time to visit is in the summer, I think the winter has its own charm.
Jazakallah for watching.
Now that's it for this episode of Roundup. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to join us next week when we'll be covering even more exciting topics from around the world.
And as always, we love hearing what you have to say. So continue to send us your feedback on our social media channels or email us at roundup@mta.tv.
Until next week, Assalamu alaikum.
Oh, I shall call. Oh, I shall call. I shall call. Oh, I shall call. I shall call. Thy message to reach all the corners of the earth.